Big U's son has been taken out.
When he was live,
Okay, but-
and they said justice for Nip, wait,
Yeah, yeah.
and what did he do?
It's been total chaos ever since the heartbreaking loss of Big U's son, Jabari Henley, on Halloween night. And now things have taken a wild twist. Nipsey's people, who believe Big U had something to do with what happened to their friend, just dropped shocking footage of Big U's last moments with his son. And trust me, what's in that clip is straight up unbelievable. Let's get into it. This footage brought back a painful past that many thought was long buried. In the ruthless game of LA street politics, where reputation means everything and even small moves can spark real consequences, one old video has managed to reignite drama like it never went away. In late October 2025, a grainy throwback video suddenly popped up on Instagram Live, spreading fast through the streets. It showed three real ones chilling on the Crenshaw corner, posted up and laughing like family, back when times still felt real solid. The clip showed Eugene, Big U Henley, standing with the late Nipsey Hussle and Big U's son, Jabari Baby Wee Henley, captured back when the trio represented hope for South LA's rise. Nobody could have seen the heartbreak that was coming next. What should have been a warm throwback to better times turned into a spark that lit up a whole storm of anger, street politics, and emotional pain that rocked the entire city. The video itself is 100% real.
Yeah. We still out here. Hey, well, you did. Hey, we on tape, man. Y'all don't want to sign too grimy. Y'all want to sign too grimy. Look at these two dudes, Huey and Nipsey Hussle. On the block.
Just under a minute of genuine street conversation, the kind of raw, unfiltered moment that reminds everyone how deep the history really runs. That moment captured the world they knew before fame flipped everything upside down. Federal cases and heartbreaking losses had already torn their circle apart, but in this clip, you can hear Big U's voice filled with that unmistakable mix of pride, the sound of a real OG, and a proud father watching his son step into his own lane. To really understand why this simple, innocent video would stir up so much emotion from Big U and trigger a chain of tension through the streets, we gotta rewind and look at who these three men truly were and the empire they were trying to build together before everything took a dark turn. Nipsey Hussle, born Emmius Joseph Askedam on August 15, 1985, wasn't just another rapper chasing fame. He was a visionary, a man who saw way past the gang-filled blocks of Crenshaw and dreamed of a future where black business ownership and community unity could finally break the cycle of struggle that had held so many back for generations. Coming up in the heart of the rolling 60s neighborhood, Crips territory, with an Eritrean father and an African-American mother, Nipsey lived through contradictions that would shape his short but powerful journey. His story was real, raw, and inspiring.
Big U's son has been taken out. If you don't know who Big U is, just a simple Google search would suffice. Big U allegedly had something to do with the killing of Nipsey Hussle, even though that's never been proven.
By 2018, his legendary album Victory Lap debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200, earning him that Grammy nod and moving 53,000 units in his first week, pure proof that his grind and message had reached way beyond the block. But Nipsey's real legacy wasn't about record sales or chart numbers. It was about ownership, empowerment, and vision. That Marathon clothing store he proudly built from the ground up wasn't just a business, it was a movement. Then came the Vector 90 STEM Hub, a place designed to give kids in the neighborhood a real shot at tech education and success. And let's not forget about that entire Crenshaw block he purchased for $4.5 million to make sure money stayed in the community instead of slipping into the hands of big corporations and outsiders. That's real boss energy. Eugene Big U Henley, born around 1967, walked a different but surprisingly parallel path through those same dangerous LA streets. He was a respected Rolling 60s affiliate who faced serious trouble back in 1996. After serving time, he came home in 2004 with a mission to turn his life around and make change from within. By 2005, he founded the Community Intervention Alliance, stepping into a new role as a peacekeeper.
See the clip when he was live?
Okay, but-
and they said justice for Nip? Wait.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
And what did he do? He started laughing. Yo,
Justice for Nip.
Helping calm the tension between rival neighborhoods that had been clashing for decades. Then in 2009, when Nipsey was still a hungry, independent artist hustling for every fan and dollar, Big U took him under his wing. He signed a 10-year management deal through his company, Unique Music, and together they set out to shape the entire sound and spirit of West Coast hip-hop for years to come. Big U schooled Nipsey on the all-money-in mindset, full ownership, self-distribution, and total control of the art. No major label contracts holding him back, no creative limits, just pure independence. That same philosophy became the heart of Nipsey's business empire and the foundation of the famous marathon mentality that went on to inspire a whole generation. Then there was Jabari, Baby Henley, Big U's son caught between two worlds he never asked to juggle. Born March 15, 1991, Jabari wasn't chasing fame like his dad or sports glory like his brother Deonze Henley, who was out there shining as a linebacker for the Levant Chargers. Jabari just wanted to find his own lane in the world that expected him to live up to a legacy that was already larger than life. Jabari was working steady as a warehouse supervisor at a logistics company in Compton, dropping music here and there under the name of Baby Wee. By all accounts, he was trying to live low-key.
And I want to talk about, Big U. His son was assassinated last night out there in LA. Absolutely nasty work, man. Again, Big U, his son, Baby Huey or Big Huey, right? He was assassinated last night on Halloween out there in LA.
Far away from the spotlight that surrounded his father and the tragedy that took Nipsey's life. Friends said he kept to himself, focused on his own path, and avoided the street lifestyle even though he was born into it through family ties. He was also a devout dad to his 10-year-old daughter, doing his best to break those old cycles that had torn apart so many families before his. He was trying to build peace, not repeat history. Then out of nowhere, that old footage surfaced, and it couldn't have come at a worse time. Los Angeles was already boiling with tension, and by March 2025, things in the street scene were more unstable than ever. Around that same time, Big U was hit with a massive federal case, 43 counts in total, accusing him of running a large-scale organized operation connected to the Rolling 60s. The paperwork painted him as something totally different from the reformed community leader he said he had become. The charges included things like organized financial crimes, extortion schemes targeting local dispensaries under the cover of protection fees, and even allegations of labor exploitation tied to his music business. There was also reports of banking violations connected to misused government relief loans, totaling over $1.2 million. It was a full-blown storm of legal trouble that had the city talking nonstop.
Big U was being held without bail at the Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown LA.
Homie, they killed Nip too. Let's not forget, homie. They killed Nipsey Hussle. Eric Holder was not a lone actor in that. If you go back and follow the details, Nip and Big U got into it. Big U hit Nip Daddy across the head with a bat. His brother had to come out and shoot the gun.
Facing the possibility of a lifetime sentence if convicted. His trial was already set for May 2026, but things took another twist when his own attorney stepped down from the case in September 2025 due to internal conflicts. But the federal case wasn't even Big U's biggest issue when it came to his public image or street reputation. Ever since Nipsey's tragic passing on March 31st, 2019, rumors and conspiracy theories have been spinning non-stop about Big U's supposed connection. And no matter how many times the facts proved otherwise, the whispers just wouldn't die down. Eric Holder Jr. was officially convicted in February 2022 and sentenced to 60 years to life for taking Nipsey's life. The trial made it crystal clear. This was a personal dispute fueled by tension and accusations, not some planned attack led by Big U from the shadows. But the streets don't always care about official court documents. People often believe the story that feels the most dramatic, And the idea of Big U being Nipsey's betrayer stuck like glue in certain corners of social media and local circles where folks were desperate to find someone to blame. Then came more drama in 2024 when Loose Cannon, another Rolling 60s associate and music exec, went public with explosive claims. He said Big U had called him just 30 minutes before Nipsey's murder, allegedly dropping cryptic comments about handling some noise. At the time, Cannon didn't think much of it, but later he claimed it all seemed suspicious in hindsight, like Big U might have warned him about something major. Those statements, though shocking, were never backed up with solid evidence. No phone records, no mentions in the official trial, nothing verified by investigators. Still, the story spread like wildfire online and in the streets, turning rumor into fact for those already convinced Big U had some hidden hand in the tragedy. Then came more drama in 2024 when Loose Cannon, another Rolling 60s associate and music, went public with explosive claims. He said Big U had called him just 30 minutes before Nipsey's murder, allegedly dropping cryptic comments about handling some noise.
If you know what's going on, right? If you in LA, or if you be in LA, or if you know what's going on in LA right now, it's some shit going on. Just look at all the shootings, look at the people that was involved in the shootings, or the alleged groups, and all these fucking shootings that's been going on this year, probably this summer, starting this summer. It's been turned up, bro. And it's kind of like, even though there's a lot of peace pushing going on, it's a lot of coexisting with different gangs and sets and some shits have generational history, bro. So even if be docile a little bit, all it takes for is something crazy to happen or somebody else to get hit, and then they're gonna tit for tat.
At the time, Cannon didn't think much of it, but later he claimed it all seemed suspicious in hindsight, like Big U might have warned him about something major. Those statements, though shocking, were never backed up with solid evidence. No phone records, no mentions in the official trial, nothing verified by investigators. Still, the story spread like wildfire online and in the streets, turning rumor into fact for those already convinced Big U had some hidden hand in the tragedy. Then came Wack 100, Nipsey's former manager, who turned into one of Big U's loudest public rivals. On a February 2024 episode of No Jumper, he made huge claims that Big U has supposedly cooperated with federal agents in a 2018 investigation, which he alleged somehow put Nipsey in danger. These accusations were wild, especially coming from someone who had once been close to Nipsey's inner circle and claimed to know insider details the public didn't. As if that wasn't enough, Charleston White jumped into the mix, adding more fuel to the online fire. He claimed there were heated arguments between Big U and Nipsey's family about money and business control, painting the situation as a power struggle rather than anything tied to street rumors. None of it was ever proven, but that didn't stop people from spreading it like gospel. What nobody saw coming was that within just 72 hours of that old video resurfacing, one of the three men in it would lose his life, and the internet would explode with reactions, some even celebrating it under the guise of street justice being served. It was a dark twist that left the whole city in shock. Halloween night turned from festive to tragic in an instant. Around 11:11 p.m. on October 31st, 2025, something terrible happened at the intersection of South Figueroa Street and West 69th Street, right in the heart of South LA, an area that never truly sleeps. Jabari had stopped by a small, locally owned shop known to the neighborhood as the Fig and 69 Smoke Spot. It was your classic corner store selling snacks, drinks, and everyday essentials to locals who had grown up around those same blocks. That area has long been known as Rolling 60s territory, but according to official reports, the shop itself wasn't tied to any gang activity. It was simply a small business trying to make it in a community where day-to-day survival can feel like a full-time job. Eyewitnesses who were there that night, including 2 people leaving the store and a nearby food truck vendor serving late-night eats, all described what they saw with chilling detail. They said a dark-colored vehicle pulled up quietly near the shop, the kind that blends in easily on a busy night. Everything happened fast, too fast for anyone to react, and before people even realized what was going on, chaos had already broken out. Witnesses said a dark-colored sedan, possibly a late-model Toyota Camry, a Honda Accord based on partial details, rolled up to the curb with purpose, like whoever was inside knew exactly what they were there for. Jabari walked over from the sidewalk and started talking through the passenger side window. For about 10 to 15 seconds, it looked like a normal exchange, the kind that happens all the time on LA streets without anyone thinking twice about it. But then everything changed in a heartbeat. What began as a calm exchange,
you know what I mean? This is f***ed up. I'm gonna be honest, bro, because even though, you know what I mean, his son claimed Crip, you know what I'm saying? That's what you seen him with Nip in the little reel, and you know that's what he claimed. I don't think he was like probably actively out here shit to people. You know what I'm saying? He was kind of born into it. You know what I mean? Because it's like your dad is Big U.
Suddenly turned into chaos that would take yet another young life far too soon. According to reports, multiple shots were fired from what investigators later believed to be a semi-automatic handgun. The sound echoed through the block, cutting through the Halloween night air and sending people running for cover. Witnesses said the shots came quick, one after another, before the car sped off, disappearing into the maze of South LA streets before anyone could even catch the license plate.
When first responders from LA Fire Station 46 arrived just minutes later, around 11:14 p.m., they found Jabari on the ground near the entrance of the shop, badly injured and struggling to breathe. Paramedics rushed to stabilize him, doing everything they could in those critical moments. People nearby were in shock, some frozen, others crying out for help, their voices echoing down the block. Paramedics jumped into action the moment they reached the scene, performing CPR right there on the pavement. They worked with intense focus, using every tool they had and administering emergency medication in a last-ditch effort to save Jabari's life. But the injuries were far too severe. The blood loss too extreme for his body to recover from. At exactly 11:28 p.m., after finding no pulse and seeing no response, the medics had to make that painful call no first responder ever wants to make. Jabari, Baby U Henley, was declared deceased at the scene. His body remained under the care of LAPD investigators and the coroner, while his name joined the heartbreaking list of young men whose lives ended far too soon in the same streets they grew up in. The Los Angeles County Department of Medical Examiner coroner later conducted an official autopsy under case number 2025-0451, confirming what witnesses and first responders already knew. Jabari's cause of death was from multiple gunshot injuries, with severe internal bleeding listed as a major factor. The report described how the damage to vital organs caused rapid blood loss, leaving no time for help to arrive in time. Toxicology results show something important. Jabari had no alcohol or illegal substances in his system that night. He wasn't under the influence, wasn't out looking for trouble, and wasn't making reckless moves. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, living with a last name that carried heavy meaning in a city where family ties can sometimes come with unseen dangers. The official report listed Jabari's death as a homicide, and the people responsible were still on the run. Meanwhile, miles away from the scene, Big U sat behind the walls of the Metropolitan Detention Center, locked up and fighting serious federal charges that already had his future hanging by a thread. He was asleep when everything changed forever, when his entire world came crashing down in the most devastating way imaginable.
Big U's name protected Jabari. I can stand on that whatever went on with him had zero to do with Big U or any backlash.
Around 1:30 a.m. on November 1st, the heartbreaking news reached him. It came through his cellmate and co-defendant, Loose Cannon, who had reportedly gotten a call from a family contact using an illegal phone, delivering the kind of message no parent should ever have to hear. In exclusive interviews later shared with TMZ and Hot New Hip Hop, Cannon described that moment as something he could never forget. He said Big U just froze when he heard the words. According to Cannon, his face went blank, then the emotion hit. Tears started streaming down as he clenched his fists, whispering softly, "Not my boy, not like this." The pain in that cell was something words could barely capture. Cannon told reporters that in all his years on the streets and inside, he had never seen Big U look so broken. He said they both sat there in silence for a while. Two men who had seen it all, now crushed under the weight of one loss that cut too deep. Eventually, Cannon said Big U spoke again, voice shaking but still trying to hold on to some hope. "We'll get through this somehow, even from in here. God's testing us, but we'll rise. Picture this, a father locked away behind cold concrete walls, completely powerless to protect his own child. Now imagine getting hit with the news that your son is gone while you're trapped in a cell, unable to do anything about it. That's the nightmare Big U woke up to, grieving the loss of his son while serving time, unable to even hug his family or say goodbye properly. Think about that for a second. You're a father already fighting federal charges that could have you behind bars for the rest of your life. It's the middle of the night, and suddenly you're told that your 34-year-old son, the one who had been trying to live right, stay out of trouble, raise his little girl, and hold down a steady job, has been killed on the same streets you once ruled with authority. And there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing. You can't pull up to the scene to get answers. You can't comfort your family as they break down in tears. You can't call meetings or demand the truth from the streets. You can't even protect your other kids from whatever might come next. You're stuck behind bars, helpless, heartbroken, and trapped inside your own thoughts while your child lies in the morgue. And the entire city is talking about what happened. That's the unbearable reality Big U faced on November 1st. He didn't have the power, the influence, or the freedom to do anything but sit in that cell and process the most painful news a parent can ever hear. Big U hasn't released any public statements since then, mainly because he's under strict detention rules and federal gag orders that block him from speaking directly to the media while his case moves toward trial. But according to close family sources who spoke to Rolling Out on November 1st, he spent that entire day in complete silence, reading Bible verses sent by the prison chaplain and reflecting on his son's life. Detectives pushed the investigation forward with careful precision, but frustratingly, there were very few solid leads to crack the case wide open. On November 1st, the LAPD citywide crime reward program announced a $50,000 reward for any information that could help identify the people responsible and finally bring justice to Jabari's family. Investigators gathered 12 surveillance videos from nearby businesses.
They say he was going to a smoke shop. I don't know why he was going to a smoke shop over there, but you know what I mean? That kind of sealed the deal for him, you know what I mean? Condolences to him, condolences to the family. You know, Big U, he going through his thing and he fighting a whole different battle. So I know he in there mourning right now, and it's just no parent wants to hear that their child, anything happened to their child. I don't care what, even if the child was doing bad or not. You know what I'm saying?
Including the key camera from the Chevron gas station right across the street. That footage, according to police sources, might have captured the dark-colored sedan and maybe even the person behind the trigger. Forensic testing on the recovered shell cases was already underway, with results expected by November 5th, to see if the same weapon had been used in any other recent crimes across Los Angeles. Detective Maria Gonzalez from the LAPD South Bureau Homicide Division was leading the case. As of November 2nd, 2025, the investigation was still very active, but there were no clear suspects, no arrests, and a growing storm of rumors flooding the streets. Tensions were climbing fast, and the mix of grief and speculation was making it harder for detectives to separate fact from fiction.
But the most disturbing part wasn't what was happening at the actual crime scene. It was what was happening online. As soon as the news broke, social media went into overdrive. People were breaking down every second of the story, spinning theories, reposting unverified evidence, and dropping wild claims without a shred of compassion for the man who had just lost his life. The online speculation started spinning out of control almost instantly, connecting dots that didn't even exist, twisting half-truths and old rumors into full-blown conspiracy theories. People online were piecing together wild narratives that had zero proof behind them, setting the stage for one of the most heartless and disrespectful moments the hip-hop world had seen in a long time. Within just 90 minutes of the first LAPD radio reports hitting social media, around 11:45 p.m. on October 31st, Jabari's death had already stopped being treated like a tragedy. Instead, it was being turned into viral content, twisted into entertainment, and used by strangers online as supposed karma for things his father was accused of years ago. By midnight, there were already more than 2,500 posts mentioning Big U's son. By 6 a.m. on November 1st, that number had exploded to over 15,000, with posts spreading across time zones, news outlets, and international hip-hop pages. It was everywhere, trending on every platform. Hashtags like J. Henley,
Big U and Baby Wee were trending locally in Los Angeles, breaking into the top 5 in hip-hop categories. But then came one of the most heartless trends of them all, a cruel tag implying that Jabari's death was some kind of payback. That single hashtag racked up over 4,000 uses in just the first 2 days, turning the family's pain into a cruel meme for clicks and comments. TikTok quickly became the main platform where the worst of it played out. Users began uploading clips and edited videos using sensitive real-world footage, including raw recordings of first responders trying to save Jabari's life. These videos spread fast, gathering millions of views while comment sections filled with jokes, finger-pointing, and people pretending to solve the case like it was an online mystery. Clips showing paramedics working to save Jabari's life began circulating online, shared through anonymous accounts that showed zero respect for privacy or basic decency. These videos, filmed from nearby buildings and by bystanders more focused on going viral than helping, racked up over 3.2 million views by noon on November 1st. It was heartbreaking to see people chasing attention while a real family was facing unimaginable pain. Instagram Reels from fan pages dedicated to Nipsey Hussle, accounts with hundreds of thousands of followers meant to honor his memory, started reposting parts of the footage alongside emotional captions. But mixed into that mourning was disturbing tones of celebration, as if Jabari's death somehow balanced out what had happened to Nipsey 6 years earlier. That narrative spread fast and hit deep, with many completely missing the fact that a 34-year-old father and hardworking man had just lost his life. The mockery came in waves, each one colder and more disrespectful than the last. Strangers who had never met Jabari, people who knew nothing about his real life or his efforts to live right, suddenly acted like they were judge and jury. They threw around comments about karma and revenge, completely ignoring that this was a real person, a son, a father, and a human being who didn't deserve to be reduced to hashtags and gossip threads. Then at 12:07 a.m. on November 1st, one user posted a clip of the crime scene with the caption, "Retaliation for Big U's alleged setup. The streets never forget." That single post took off instantly, gaining thousands of likes and shares. The comment section was flooded with people connecting imaginary dots, linking unrelated events, and spinning elaborate stories about who ordered it and why it supposedly had to happen. None of it was based on truth, just speculation turned into digital drama. At 6:47 a.m., another user posted something even more cruel and disrespectful, writing, "LA let Big U walk after what happened to Nipsey. Trash city." The message was loud and clear. People were suggesting that since Big U had never been charged or proven guilty in Nipsey's case, the streets had somehow handled it themselves through Jabari's death. But here's the truth. Big U was never mentioned in Eric Holder's trial, never charged, and there was zero verified evidence connecting him to Nipsey's murder. Yet that didn't stop social media from running with the story. The internet twisted it into another round of street mythology, claiming that Jabari's loss was the real justice that the legal system had supposedly failed to deliver. Completely ignored in all that noise was the fact that Jabari was his own person, not his father's shadow, not part of any old feud. He was a hardworking man with a 10-year-old daughter who now has to grow up without his dad. He wasn't involved in any of those old street issues, and yet, because of his last name, he became a target of digital hatred and real-world danger. In the twisted world of online mob mentality and street gossip, bloodlines can unfairly make someone guilty by association. It didn't matter who Jabari really was. To the internet's version of street justice, his last name was enough. Out of over 8,000 analyzed social media posts from November 1st to November 2nd, a staggering 62% included Nipsey's name, treating Jabari's death as if it was somehow connected to or justified by events from 2019 that had nothing to do with him. Only 28% were neutral, expressing condolences or sympathy for the family's loss. A mere 10% actively spoke out against the mockery and cruelty, but their voices were buried under a tidal wave of toxic celebration and false narratives. People actually convinced themselves that cheering for a young father's death was a way to honor Nipsey's legacy or keep the marathon going, when in reality, it was the total opposite. A complete betrayal of the message Nipsey lived and died for: growth, peace, and unity. Some posts tried to dig deeper, offering context about LA's complicated street dynamics and why Jabari might have been targeted. Even outside of the conspiracy theories about Nipsey, those who truly understood South LA's politics knew the reality. Being born into certain families can come with risks you never asked for. Sometimes just having a recognizable last name can put a spotlight on you, no matter how far you tried to distance yourself from that life.
The discussions online painted a painful picture of a young man trapped in circumstances beyond his control, born into a world he didn't create, forced to carry a name that brought attention he never wanted. Jabari's story was becoming a reminder of how unfair life can be when your identity gets judged by your bloodline instead of your choices. Meanwhile, the major social media platforms scrambled to respond, but by the time they acted, the damage was already done. The content had spread everywhere, shared thousands of times and viewed by millions. Twitter, now X, announced it had suspended 15 accounts on November 1st for posting Jabari's personal details, including his address, workplace, and even information about his daughter. It was an appalling level of disrespect, showing how low some users would go for clout, even turning tragedy into harassment that went far beyond death itself. TikTok followed by demonetizing over 200 videos containing graphic or sensitive content, removing creators' ability to earn money from clips related to Jabari's final moments. But while the monetization was cut, many of the videos stayed online and continued spreading across the app. Instagram also took partial action, flagging around 50 reels under its hate speech and harmful content policies. Warning labels were added, but most of the posts weren't actually removed, even those that clearly mocked the situation or celebrated the tragedy. The online mockery spread like wildfire across the culture, and somewhere inside his detention center cell, Big U was finding out that not only had he lost his son, but that the internet was actually celebrating it, calling it justice served. The pain of that realization must have been crushing, especially as people turned his personal tragedy into public entertainment. Even some of Nipsey's closest people, the ones who had their own history and complicated feelings toward Big U, tried hard to shut down the negativity that was taking over social media and the streets. They saw how dark things were getting and wanted no part of fueling that kind of hate. On November 1st, Nipsey's brother, Black Sam, who also manages Nipsey's estate, made a rare public statement through the official Moral Records Instagram page. His post read, "Pain multiplies pain. Honor Nip with peace, not this." It was a powerful message, a direct call for people to stop spreading hate under the excuse of loyalty or justice. Black Sam's words hit hard because they came from the heart of Nipsey's own legacy. Nipsey spent his final years preaching unity, self-growth, and end to the endless cycle of retaliation that had torn communities apart for generations. He wanted to uplift his people, not keep them trapped in the same cycle of loss and revenge. But even with that reminder, the rational voices calling for peace and humanity were drowned out by the noise. Thousands of people online convinced themselves that mocking a dead man and his grieving father was somehow street justice or deserved. It showed how easily social media can twist pain into performance, turning tragedy into a scoreboard. Between November 1st and 2nd, over 150 calls came flooding into Crime Stoppers, a mix of real tips, street chatter, and wild theories. Many callers brought up old beefs, supposed revenge plots, and claims linking Jabari's death back to Nipsey's 2019 shooting. Detectives suddenly found themselves knee-deep in rumors, forced to separate real leads from the endless online noise that had already taken over the narrative. The internet had become both a blessing and a curse in this case, a tool that helped identify possible witnesses, but also an obstacle that buried real evidence under a mountain of conspiracy theories and social media drama. Every minute spent chasing fake leads meant another minute lost in finding the truth. The bigger picture made the whole situation even more dangerous. Observers pointed out how tense things were already been across Los Angeles. Years of unresolved feuds, pride, and pain sitting just beneath the surface. Jabari's death hit like a spark in a room full of gasoline, threatening to reignite rivalries that the city has spent years trying to calm down. As of November 6, 2025, no arrests had been made in Jabari Henley's case, and the streets were still buzzing with tension and speculation. The LAPD confirmed that the investigation was ongoing, with detectives still reviewing surveillance footage, analyzing ballistic evidence, and interviewing witnesses who might have information about what really happened that night. This story is far from over, and the search for answers continues. What happened to Jabari has become more than just a case. It's a mirror reflecting the pain, rumors, and cycles that keep repeating in LA streets. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update as new details unfold. And if you want to dive deeper into more real stories like this one, click one of the videos now appearing on your screen, each one packed with the raw truth behind the headlines.